are back with another one here today, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to break down a fade to the molecular level. And if this is something you're struggling with, man, we're going to get it together today. All right, so first things first, we're going to clear something off my chest. I got something on my chest right now. I know you guys got some shit to talk about the Buffalo Bills, so let's just get it out of the way right now. Who's up in the building today? Let's see. Let me get my comments up. What's good with you guys? Jerry Conley, thank you for joining. Rusty Blades, YouTube Barber. Quick note, his Instagram got hacked, so if he's trying to send you some Bitcoin, let him know. So did Uproars. There's a thing going around, man, so be careful, you guys. I don't want you guys to get caught up in this whole garbage scam, man. So do not put your information in there. What up, Juan? Just go ahead and say it. Just go ahead and say it. Y'all win. We didn't. It is what it is. All right. So before we start the show off today, I want to warn you guys of something. Well, you know what? Let me do this first. Guys, where we're at, because we're real close to busting a move on this. We raised $1,700, man, and I can't thank you guys enough. And please, if you guys are about to do some type of super chat or something like that, don't do it. Whatever money that you decide that you want to give up for this good cause, man, we're just asking for the price of a single haircut. But I mean, look at all these people that donated, man. We did this. We did this real slick, man. Whatever you guys want to contribute to this, but if you don't know what it is, we will be collecting contributions from you guys online. And we've been doing this for 165 days, and honestly, we only got $1,700, which after they take their share, I think I'm left with like 15. I think we could do better, and I hope that we will. But what I'm going to do with this money is I'm going to just give it to some random barber who's struggling to pay off his tuition. So you guys are going to see that. We are going to be filming that next month, whether we got enough money or not. So that's what's going on. And before I start the show, there's one other thing I want to say. If you're not a barber, if you are just like thinking about like learning about cutting hair and stuff like that, this video might be okay. But I just want to remind some of you guys that might be watching my channel, like this is a channel for barbers. This is not necessarily aimed at someone who is just lightly grazing the surface of barbering. So with that being said, we're going to get into some pretty complicated stuff today, and you might want to just skip this video. Like that's your fair warning. And yeah, let's get started with the actual video. Let me load this thing up, and we're going to go to not this movie, but just give me 1 second, y'all. This one's got the same little thing going on in the beginning. So, all right, let me just scroll this back to debulk and prep, and let me pull my HUD up. All right, so if there's any issues with my audio, any issues with my video, please let me know. I believe I have mapped out all the problems that we had last week, and I expect this to be a pretty smooth show. But we got a lot to get through, so let's get it. Let's start with phase 1, debulk and prep. Okay, so what you're going to see is because his hair has came in, he's not coming in after like slumming it for months. So I can see what I'm doing, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put my line in. Now, I'm putting my line in with my clipper in the closed position, and if you pay attention to the slight curve, this is not an accident. This is by design, because when we're done, I want to make sure that I'm able to blend this out, and I'm going to have still some hair in the edge-up area, and I'm going to have that fade that just contours around the head. Now, some of you guys were talking about you might have some trouble with some blades. I just wanted to point out the Slim Deep Tooth cutting blade is an amazing blade that will improve any of your Gamma clippers. It's real. It's real. It really does work well. All right, so let me pause this for just a second. We're going to jump up to this whiteboard, and bam, y'all can see. Uh-oh, it says skin backwards. Hold up. I thought I was doing something smart, and it turns out I wasn't doing something smart. So let's see here. You guys could read this. Anyways, let me see here. Hold up. Let me just turn off this mirror. This is going to bother me. All right, so the idea here is we're going to create some small jumps. We're making a small jump from electric shaver to our trimmer line. If you put in a trimmer line, if you put it in with a closed taper, it's not really going to change all that much. So the idea here is small jumps. I just grabbed a electric shaver that I got here, and as you notice, when we're coming up to that line, I am going to begin flicking away. I do not want to run my electric shaver straight into my line. So this is that line that you just seen me put in. I decided to put it in with my clipper in the closed position. However, you can put this line in however you want. But with that being said, that's what I'm doing with this electric shaver. So let's get back to the movie. Oh, really? It's going to start over every time? Man, come on. I just got to go to resume, I guess. So, all right. So with this debulking prep, we've already seen this step. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to move forward a little bit in the process. So there I am flicking out little by little, and we just go ahead and skip to this part. All right, so the electric shaver part's done. And what did I just pour in his head? Nothing but a whole bunch of product. So with this whole bunch of product, basically what's going on here is I'm trying to keep his wave. I'm trying to get it to all lay forward, and I want it to give it time to dry. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to dry it up a little bit, and now I'm going to begin debulking with the number 1 open. It's actually 1 1/2 open, and I'm moving up with the grain. Now I know this can be kind of boring, as if this step you're like, all right, I kind of see what's going on here. I'm going to go, but it just takes time. Follow the grain pattern and don't accidentally make him bald. All right. So I just want to come clean. I'm using the wall number 1. I just had a clip of that number 1, so I thought maybe that would be easier for you guys to see. But I have the 1 on, and I'm in the open position with the clipper, and I'm still traveling with the grain. I just want to minimize some of this work that I'm going to have to do in the parietal ridge area, and that's where you're going to really see a smooth transition. So I don't want to cut into those waves too much, so that's what we're doing here. All right, so now we're going to jump into the blend. If you notice, his beard is sort of done, but we're going to circle back to the beard, and there's a reason why I put it towards the end in the filming of the video, but you're going to see. So I'm creating a 1/2 inch to a 1 inch line with my clipper in the open position. Now, you're going to notice that you're going to be able to create this weight line, but you want to try to make it as close to your original guideline as you can. So we're going to make it close to our original guideline as we can, and I don't know why I put this. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna go to the next step, which is going to be the number 1. I'm always going to start in the open position whenever I put a new guard on, especially when I'm first cutting against the grain. So what you basically seen here, I did the number 1 with the grain. Now I'm doing the number 1 against the grain, and I'm closing it little by little. So you're seeing me do kind of something a little bit different here. I decided I would circle back and knock out the bottom of that line in my process. But I would just really try to focus on them waves. I'm really trying to focus on this blend, and I'm really trying to bring this down, little by little. So let me see what happens if I pause this video for a second, and I just go back to here, and then here. All right. So quickly, this is what we're doing here. All right. I wanted to explain this step. You're gonna see, basically, this is your step that I'm talking about. I just created that open taper line, right? I just created that open taper line. Now to get this out, you guys have seen this on the channel if you've been here for a while, but we're going to begin clicking this lever, and I'm going to stay just a little bit lower than I was. Just 1 click, closing the clipper 1 click. And if you don't have clicks, just figure you're closing it about 1/4. So closing it 1/4, and I'm coming down and I'm working my way in that crisscross pattern across that line. Next step, I'm going to do the same thing here as I work my way down all the way till I get to the very bottom step. Now this is going to remove your line really smoothly. You're not going to have any issues, and the best part about doing it this way is you're working in between here and here. So if you find yourself up here, well, you're messing up, all right? You're going to be looking like the Buffalo Bills yesterday. You messing up. But if you're up there, you don't want to be up there. You want to be down here working in between these 2 lines, okay? So that's what's going on. Now, whenever I put another clipper guard on, the reason why I came to this board was because you see me doing the same thing with the 1. Well, I skipped over the 1/2 because the 1/2 is going to have just a little bit of detail work. That's all we're going to really wind up doing with the 1/2. But with this in the open position, with the number 1 on, I'm going to head up, and I'm going to do this exact same thing. It's just 1 step higher. So I began with it open. I began clicking it, closing it, and staying lower. We're going to see what we can get out with the number 1. And then we're going to go back. All right, I'm going to check out on some of these comments as we go back to the video. Hopefully it lets me just resume where I was. Sweet. It did. Almost. Almost had it, y'all. I got to go to the wrong camera. Let me go back for 1 second. I'm sorry. We go back to ZV1, and then we go back to resume last video, and I'm right here. I'm back in action. So I decided I would finish up this parietal ridge area with the 1 1/2. I did it open, did it closed, and I'm liking what I see. Now, whenever there's a problem with your blend, you know that you can go right back to that previous step again, right? So with that number 1, I'm putting that back on and I'm going back into that same step again, because now I did it with the 1 1/2 closed. That didn't get it out. Now I know it's safe to go back with the 1, and I'm going to be able to keep those. So now we're going to jump to the half, and I'm moving down in this step here. I have this with it all the way open at first, and I'm beginning to close it little by little. So let's check out some of these comments, man. I noticed you didn't use the 5-0 no more. Steve, you are on the money with that. And I'm going to tell you something. I've spent now about 2 months not using my detachable. And literally just, I think it was day before yesterday, I started using my detachable again, and I realized how much faster I'm working. I mean, the detachable clippers are really speeding up my process. I just kind of thought, because so many clippers have so much power, like this clipper has so much power, it doesn't really slow me down. But when I use that detachable, there's just something that happens. I just get this done fast. I had a client that usually takes me about a half hour. He showed up super late the other day, and I got the blend, I'm talking about perfect, in like 15 minutes. And that was all I had. But I was focused on that, like cognitively, so I moved it through. So now you're seeing me execute that step that we talked about. I began with it open, and if you notice, I'm sort of moving in a crisscross pattern, and I'm trying to find the against the grain spots here. So let's see what we got. So it's open, just the blade for 1 inch, then open. Yeah, exactly. So blood, sweat, and shears. He's basically asking me how I'm working this. So it doesn't really matter what guard I have on when I'm going through that first phase of it. I'm doing it with it open, and then as I close it, I'm clicking down, I'm staying a little bit lower, clicking down, staying a little bit lower, and working my way down. Now this is an excellent way to just stay organized. You know, one of the reasons why I think Faded Culture's videos do so well is because he's able to film a good portion of it to make you realize that what he's doing is actually pretty easy, right? But it's not easy when he goes into the detailing. So that's where he's cutting a lot of this stuff out. He's going back and he's detailing it until he comes up with this perfect product. Whereas a lot of us other YouTubers are showing you the detailing that we're doing throughout the process. So it makes it feel a little more complicated, but you just got to trust in the process. It's not that bad. Now, the reason why I switched over to my Saber is actually pretty simple. My Saber has a taper blade on it. So with the taper blade on it, I'm able to be a little bit, like it's a little bit more forgiving. So when I want to take like risky moves and go into areas that I'm not sure what it's going to do, I definitely want a taper blade in my hand. And this is something that, you know, literally this year, maybe at the end of last year, I began kind of experimenting with, and I've realized that like it's really made my life a lot easier. So again, with the taper blade, I'm seeing if I could lay that curl down a little bit better. I'm seeing if I could reduce some of that weight a little bit better. And in a way, this is just, you know, this is just artwork, man. It really is. Like, you're looking at the canvas, you're seeing what it needs, and you're going in there and you're trying to, you know, put all those details together to make a beautiful painting. I mean, that's essentially exactly what we're doing here. You know, I know that I can safely travel into this area because I went there with the half closed, right? So I'm coming back with the open taper, and I'm seeing that process start to come together. So you're starting to see this whole blend just a little bouncing back and forth. It's essentially coming together. On this other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to do this more in my normal way. I'm attacking with the one open, and then I'm closing with the one. So I got a couple minutes here. I'll let this side run. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And we're rocking and rolling through this cut, and things are starting to come together in a way that we're liking. Now, this is where you can kind of see how the curved guidelines can help you. All right, I'm gonna make myself a little bigger. I feel like I'm kind of tiny down here. All right, so this is the kind of thing that you can do with your curved guideline. As you see the curved guideline being blended out like that, it's following the shape of his head perfectly, but more importantly, it's leaving me more hair in those vertical bars, because if I was to have taken that fade all the way up there, I will have wiped out the vertical bars, and then when we get into the edge up, I'm going to wind up having problems. So again, here I am coming back with the Saber, just because it has that taper blade on it. I wanted something a little bit more forgiving, something that maybe if I flick a little too high or I make a mistake, I'm not going to have to pay so drastically for that mistake. So that's the idea here. When you hear people say using them corners, stuff like that, this is exactly what we're talking about. We're using the corner because if I use the entirety of this blade, all right, I'm going to make a mistake that this wide versus if I'm only touching down one corner and I do make a mistake, it's a lot more fixable and a lot less noticeable for the client himself and for, you know, the photo sake. Because, yo, we're doing this to put it on the IG. Drop it in the comments right now. How do you feel about enhancements? Because we about to enhance him to the nines. I'm even going to do an ash line on him. And, yeah, I got me some nice photos out of this. And that was my whole purpose. My whole purpose, my whole goal was to create, you know, the best possible cut that I could cut. All right, so you notice that his blend's gone. But the reason why I put this in this order is because in my 6 phases playlist, which all these topics that you're seeing here are in my 6 phases, and they're all explained in depth. But in my 6 phases playlist, this is about where this comes in. This is like phase 5, where we're starting to work on razor work, edge up, and then we do enhancements a little bit later. So here we go. First things first, I do want to just back this up like, let's say 30 seconds. All right. So what we're about to do is beard. A lot of people have trouble fading in reverse, and I don't really know why, but it's actually pretty simple. So we're going to, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. All right. So yeah, we're just going to come down with the grain at first. I have a number 1 on in the open position, and I'm just trying to lay down some of his hair, see what gets cut off, and then I'm going to actually blend out his beard. Don't worry, I'm going to turn him in just a second, and you'll be able to see. What's good, Tank? Yo, just so y'all know, my boy Tank be chopping. He out here chopping it up too. He got a YouTube channel. He's doing his thing, so give this man a follow. All right, so let's talk about this beard fade real quick. I think we need the board, so let me just head over to, oops, wrong one. Let me just head over to the board. All right, so this is what's happening here, and I got even wind. Y'all, you remember last week when I couldn't wipe away my board because, yo, I don't know what I'm using, a permanent marker or whatever, but keeping in line with the concept of the day, which is small jumps, small jump from electric shaver to trimmer, small jump from trimmer to closed taper, small jump from whatever you're trying to do to whatever you're trying to do. So I'm gonna try to draw a beard line on the spot. All right. I'm not the best drawer, so you're going to have to, let's just say that's pretty good. All right. So with however thick his beard is, it really doesn't make a difference. Okay. Basically all we're going to do is, you could see that it's wiped off at the top. This is down to skin. I'll take this to an open taper right to here. Right. So all I'm trying to do is just get this knocked down to open taper. Don't care about that. Now I'll begin closing this one step at a time. And I'm going to stay a little bit higher. Gone. All right. Now I'm going to close this again. And I'm going to stay a little bit higher. And what you're going to see is that's going to blend that all the way in. And we can just repeat the process as many times as we need to until we're down. So what do I mean by that? I mean, put a number 1 on and do that same thing. Look at it. Is it good? Does it need more? Maybe you got to go in with the half. But you understand what I'm saying? Number 1 on, clipper in the open position, and go down a little bit lower. Then close it, stay a little bit higher, close it, stay a little bit higher. Very simple to blend out a beard. Just takes a little practice, and that's really all there is to that one. So we're going to blend in his beard. I'm going to knock him down, and we're going to resume this last video. Bam. We're good. So there we are. Trimming of the beard, it's just one of them things that takes time. I don't really think it takes a lot of skill to learn how to trim a beard. It's the actual lining and, you know, enhancing of the beard that makes it a little bit tricky. But it's actually not so hard if you prepare the hair the right way. So essentially we're doing the same thing across the board on both sides, and I'm going to leave him with a number 2 length on the chin. So I did a 1.5 so I could leave his chin, you know, a little bit more pronounced. So that's where we're going with the trimming of the beard. And then in the mustache, I'm going to hit him with the 1. I have the 1 in the open position, and I just wanted to wipe that away. All right, stop. Okay, I feel like it's like running on a treadmill trying to keep up with this video. It's a lot easier when you edit these things in person. Okay, so one of the first places that I like to start when I'm going to do a lineup and I want it to be, as clean as possible, I actually kind of like to start on the bottom. I like to see that I got symmetry across the bottom, and for some reason that helps me on the top. And I'll usually always do that with a trimmer. Kev over here, he'll get some pretty bad razor bumps if I use a razor on his neck. So we just use the trimmer on his neck, and we just try to get him, in a good shape. All right. Some of that hair that I was trimming before, if you notice, there's some long hairs underneath there. That's because some of them are going to get knocked off and the edge up, and anything you can do to save time, you might as well do, right? So we're going to put this trimmer on the upside down and just try to make my line, half decent. One thing that you really want to make sure that you do is you want to see right here. Hold up. This spot I wanted to talk about too. But one thing you want to make sure you do is try to prepare the face the best you can before you do this shave. And if your razor is dull, you got to throw it out right away. You got to throw it out right away, because I'm telling you what you're going to do with a dull razor. You're going to wind up messing up your work. It's going to slip and it's going to cut sometimes, or other times it's just not going to cut at all. So it's just going to make it really tough. All right. So this part of the under the nose, I hate shaving that. I've been doing that so many years. I've cut so many people that way, and I don't mind going back over with the razor, but just using something like this just makes it super simple. So this little single foil shaver, clutch. So I got the Uno there, and that's all we're doing there. So other than that, we're gonna rock and roll and just give them, like, honestly, I'm just wasting time by using this trimmer on the top at this point. But I wanted to do this for the video's sake. Most of the time, I'll probably just use a razor unless he comes in like really thick hair. So if you guys are liking this new format, man, I already see 25 of y'all smash that thumbs up. I appreciate you guys. And if you want me to keep doing it, man, we got to do battle with this algorithm. So we got to do battle with the algorithms, man. I checked out my performance last week just to see how it did, and it wasn't too hot, but it wasn't too bad either. So we're gonna keep this going a little bit and just see where it goes. All right. So one thing that I'm not sure if I started speeding up the video or not before I did this, but after I put that shave gel on his face, it's very hard to get a grip because we got to stretch the skin when we use the razor, right? So I always try to take like a rag, not this one that I've been wiping stuff down, but I'll rag and I'll wipe off something so I got a good grip. And now I can pull up on his cheek and I can bring that hair to me. So that way we can get that done. Sometimes I stand behind him to do against the grain, but we do want to get that against the grain as close as we can to that line. That's going to give his hair, the best chance when it grows back, give him the longest and freshest lineup he can have. All right. And it isn't really an accident that I decided to start. Like, I always try to pick the side that's lower to start on. Okay. So everybody comes in and their beard's never perfect. Like, there's always a side that's a little higher and a side that's a little bit lower. If you spend a bunch of time on that high side, when you get over, you're going to realize, I got to do that all over again anyway. So I try to start on the low side for one when I pick up the razor, and two, when I jump over to the other side, I try to start right where I'm matching. So I try to start right here. Sometimes I'll accidentally fall into my old patterns, but if you really want your razor to work, using the mirror, jump right in the front and just try to get these two portions matched before you go on and do all this work that you're just going to wind up having to do again. Is the razor worth the price, bro? This razor is not, I don't think this razor is ever going to die or disappoint me. I don't see anything that could possibly burn out with this razor. So in a way, I think it's just like any luxury product. Like, do you need it? No, you don't need it. But is it nice to work with? Hell yeah. It's a beautiful razor to work with. But I would just say it's more of something that you would probably want to have if you're already established, you're making money in the business, and you can justify just having a nice tool like that. I guess you could say it's just like having a Ferrari, right? Like, I still got to drive to work, but I'm driving in a Ferrari. I still got to shave people, but I'm shaving people with like a Ferrari style razor. All right, so back to this edge up. As you noticed, we began in the middle because Kev over here, he got a beautiful edge. He doesn't really have huge problems. That's why I like filming him so much. You guys know he's made a few appearances on the channel, but he's got a perfect edge, and I can just take it from the center, work out to my corners, try to square off the corners, and little by little, I'm going to just keep finagling this, because that's really what it is. Like, there is no great secret sauce for the edge up. My best advice for the edge up, other than watching my video where I had time to like dive into just that specific topic, and I'm going to try to go back and put links to this stuff, but you guys can find it in the 6 Phases playlist. There is a couple little tricks that you can use, and this is one of them right here. I have the number 1, and I actually have it in the closed position, and I didn't capture that well on this cut, but I close it, and I'm just trying to run over the very front portion of the edge, because that's going to get some of them bigger curls out of my way and give me something nice and uniform to put that edge up into. All right, so now we're going to travel back with the trimmer, and I'm trying to make like my final passes. I'm checking in my mirror, and even if you guys think it's crooked, you have to realize this is just like in the NFL. Like, you look at something from a certain camera angle, and you'll think, oh, that's a little bit low, oh, that's a little bit high. But you got to realize the perspective of the edge, and the best perspective you're going to have is by looking in your mirror. I'm assuming your mirror is 4 feet away, maybe 6 feet away, 6 feet back. That's giving you roughly like a 12 to 10 foot perspective. So we're going to use the mirror to make sure that we're perfect. Now I'm just going to follow up with the razor. With the razor, I'm coming down with the grain at first, and then I'm going to go back against the grain, and I'm doing my best to square off these corners, which I'm going to show you another little trick for in just a second. I'll have to call you back. Sorry, I'm getting a call. So yeah, we're going to go up against the grain here. Now that's the move right there. Not many people know about this move here, to use a pair of shears, and specifically a pair of shears that are sharp, and I mean like that come to a fairly point, so a fairly sharp point, so that you can really square off these corners. So this is something that I like to do on clients that it's warranted. Now sometimes you're just creating this portion out of thin air, like if your client ain't got this beautiful edge, and we're gonna go through and we're gonna enhance the living out of this thing. So I got the new Sean Cuts Hair color card. Like, look, I'll be real with y'all, I've bought this purchase for a while, and I used business cards and all sorts of stuff, but like actually having a dedicated card, in all reality, you can make this, but it's worth just spending the $5 or $10 and get like 6 of them. And I have Tomb 45 Onyx Black in there, and this little airbrush is pretty damn good for the price. I think I put it in the description, but it's like $60, and I've never had a problem with this. I actually had to tape it because I've dropped it so many times. Not the company's fault, but I've no endorsement to them whatsoever. I mean, if you buy it through my Amazon links, I'll get like a peanut. But other than that, this is just a good spray gun, and it's not a crazy price. So I'm just trying to set that in there right where I put my lines. And if you guys misspray, let's say you misspray right now on his head somewhere, you got like a half a second to move it. So you want to keep your razor handy, and you want to keep it ready to maybe try to move that color just a little bit, right? So we're going to spray him up and make it happen. Do I sharpen my shears, or do I have someone do it? I do not sharpen my shears personally. I have someone who was actually just in the shop the other day sharpening them. The Mitsutanis are still holding up pretty strong. Not as sharp as they were, but I wouldn't expect them to be. So I'm just using the rest of my color. This is the end of my day, and I'm trying to fill in any light spot where them curls are separating or anything like that. I'm trying to fill in the crown. I'm trying to fill it all in a little bit because I want to make this look perfect. And I really can't put that color back, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to spray it till it's pretty much gone. I'll do this a lot of times if I think I could get away with it. But, for the most part, this is just a look. This is just for Instagram. This is just for getting good pictures. And I don't really have no shame about it. Like, it is what it is. This is the game now, and I'm just going to play it to the best of my ability. Everybody else is out here doing it. I know that there's people that are going to disagree with with this type of stuff, but I really don't care. So that's where we're at here. We're just going to hold this card up. We're going to spray it on his edge up. And if you overdo this a little bit, it can look a little fake, but you got to realize like he's going to wind up washing it, and some of that's going to disappear. Now on this little corner here, Kev got a problem where he'd be doing his own hair sometimes, and there wasn't a lot I could do there. But that's what's great about this. By the time his hair grows in, he's not going to have a problem, and it's going to last 2 or 3 days. So I'm noticing that my blend on the beard, after I added the color, my blend on the beard was a little suspect. It was a little sus. So I had to go back in there real quick. So even with the color in there, I was able to kind of go back in there and kind of tighten that up. And make sure it's bald at the top. And do not be afraid to drop that bald area of the skin line down a little bit more into the beard. Now, one little extra on this. I've been experimenting with the ash lines, and this is basically what we got here. We got the magic pencil. I'm just going to do it on his cheek and across this edge. I know that there's other people out here doing this, and I just thought it would be fun to do it and see what the picture looked like and stuff like that. I don't do this a whole lot, to be honest. But in this case, I figured I came all these miles. Let's just go that extra mile. So after drawing it in and experimenting a little bit, using obviously the trimmer as sort of a blending brush, and then using the brush, and then any of those like little thick spots that I just felt like the trimmer wasn't working, I went back with the razor and I just kind of was able to comb that in. Now I'm going to tell you something about camera versus what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing in my chair as I'm doing this, I don't know what I just did here. What I'm seeing in my chair as I'm doing this, it just went to the next clip, is it looks a lot more distinct in person than it does on camera. I noticed that when I was taking the photos, I don't know if it's because of all the sharpening and the cell phone photo or just, camera photo, whatever, the photo does not really look that crazy. I mean, if I drop in the thumbnail, you guys seen the thumbnail, if I drop in the pictures of the cut, it really doesn't look that crazy to me. It just looks, a little bit more defined in the edge. Now, looking at him, in person, it looks a little bit like overdone to me. But and that was like an edited photo, or I put a LUT on it. But you can't really see the ash line that much in the other photo. I increased the brightness on this one, so it's not going to be as unpronounced. But that's what my take on that, using that ash line technique, is that I just thought that like in person it looked a little bit more overdone, but on the photos and on the Instagram, I thought it looked pretty fresh. All right, you guys, we just covered a whole mess of topics. We ran wild with it. It's been 33 minutes, and the algorithm's going to kill me for it already. So any other questions that you guys might have before we leave it here, go ahead and fire away. What's with the star on the blade? You are very sharp, Juan. And I don't know what we test a lot of blades for Gamma, and we test a lot of prototype stuff for Gamma. And at time to time, I get confused about what I'm using and what I'm supposed to be using and what I'm supposed to be testing. So sometimes we'll put those little marks on there to be like that was the blade for such and such. And that was the reason behind that. So we're just rocking and rolling. John says, we just had so much fun with one of those pencils, practicing on each other. We had a student with pencil all over. Barber College fun. I mean, that's what it's all about. Like, at the end of the day, if you've been doing this, even if you've been doing this for a short time or a long time, it's finding those things that just give you joy and are fun to try. I mean, a lot of barbers can sit back like it's all gas with their arms crossed talking about, we ain't going to never paint nobody's face. That's trash. That's this, that's that. But, there's a little part of you inside, like no matter who you are, that wants to try this stuff, that like little artist inside of you that just wants to say like, I bet I could do that. Like, just give it a try. Just give it a try. Like, what's it all worth? You know what I mean? That's what life is supposed to be about. It's about, helping others and finding, some fun and new stuff to do and just keeping it interesting and having fun with it. That's really what it's about for me. That's why I want to do more of these style tutorials. I like teaching like this in person where it's like interactive, because for me, this makes me think. This keeps me on my feet. Like, it would be easy to sit behind this computer and craft up another edit and do that. And for some people, this might be harder to do this all on the fly like this. But, I just want things that challenge me, and having 3 cameras and doing all this, it kind of challenges me a little bit. So I appreciate you guys for joining me. We got 50 people, I think, on average throughout this live. So that's a pretty good showing. I'm probably going to have to end this real soon because, the algorithm's going to come for me. They don't want Ed to be making all these long videos. And if you enjoyed the content and you want to give back in some way or another, please, I'm asking for you guys don't throw me no super chats. Don't throw me no personal stuff. Just if you contribute to this cause, we've got it running for 165 days. We raised $1,775, which by the time they got their take, I think I got about 15. We're about to give away barber tuition for free to someone who's in need. And realistically, without Reggie Long having contributed $1,000, there's no way. There's no way that we would be even this close to being able to film this video. I mean, we would realistically be sitting at $700 without his huge donation. So shout out to that man. I about fell over, had a heart attack. Him, Raymond, and Juan, these guys donated more than I ever expected anybody to. But all I'm saying is, if you guys did give up the price of a single haircut, it's going to go to help someone, and that's going to be life-changing. Like, that's something that I'm really passionate about. I want to use my platform to try to do something like that for people. And I guess the reason it's this is because I was a barber instructor for a lot of years, and I've seen a lot of people falling out of school for monetary reasons. And I think some of them would have made really good barbers, and they probably would have been really happy in that career path, but they just didn't make it. And then there's a lot of unlicensed barbers too that are out there trying to get it going. And I want to see these people make it happen. I want to see these people get a chance to get through. So if we could stop them from falling out of school by saying, like, hey, we just paid off your tuition, man. So maybe you don't got to work that second job. Maybe you don't got to worry about all those other things. Like, you could just focus on this and get out of here because you got an advantage on, the average person who tries to go through school and tries to pay for it. So, I got 107K. I didn't even see that. I've been looking at that 106 for a while. I've been like, damn, this thing ain't moving. But, it's all love here, man. I do appreciate all of you guys. And, I understand, algorithm be hating on me because I'm actually, trying to teach and trying to do some things. But I really don't care, man. Like, I got probably 1,500 really solid people that are just supporting me like crazy. And to me, it's all worth it. So with that being said, man, I'm going to leave it here. And I'm going to talk to you guys soon. We will be back next Monday with another breakdown on another cut, assuming I can get one filmed. And in the meantime, hope you guys got a chance to check out that wall, Connor. Don't be a Connor. All right. There's a short on my channel. I would love you guys to go check it out. I don't want to waste it here. Just go down, do yourself a favor, and watch the short. It's called Magic Clip Guy. And no, using magic clips does not give you no magical powers. All right. So we got that. Rusty said he's 6 away from 450. Let's get him there, y'all. 6 of you guys can go and make it happen. Honestly, yo, Haroom, you're on the money with that. Like, if 100,000 of you guys managed to donate $1, we would have enough to literally put around 8 to 10 people through barber school. Like, that would be sick. That would be something that would just blow my mind. However, there is a big potential for there is a big donor in the works. I'd say it's still a pretty long shot if they do get on board with this, but the fact that they're talking to me is a pretty positive step. So I think, who knows? I mean, if something crazy happened like that, we'd be in a whole nother hemisphere. So, all right, you guys. So do yourself a favor, check out the Magic Clip, man. And I'm going to be doing a Magic Clip versus Gamma Rebel video pretty soon. So I hope that you guys can check that out. And with that being said, man, there's other channels that are doing these reviews. Go check out Tanks. Go check out Rum. Go check out some of these other guys if you want to learn more about the Rebel. I'm just wanting to figure, like, the information's kind of out there for as far as just like doing a regular review. But I think it'll be fun to kind of put it up against some other stuff. So that's where my mind's at. And I'll catch you guys very soon in the next upload. This is the YouTube Barber Academy. I'm Mr. Eddie Barber, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. So I didn't even mess it up that time. Peace.